This is a breaking news alert from 24-Hour News 8.
Good morning, I'm Brett Thomas joining you in the newsroom with some breaking news now. We are learning and have confirmed that there has been a crane collapse at the Kent County Jail in Grand Rapids. The Sheriff's Department is now confirming that that crane fell into the building. We don't know exactly how much damage was caused, but we do have a crew on scene right now. Joe LaFergie can give us a better idea of what is going on there. He joins us now live via the phone. Joe, what are you seeing?
Standing on the north side of the Kent County Corrections Complex, which includes the jail, obviously the Sheriff's Department, that crane has collapsed. It was working on the jail expansion project. It's about a 5-floor expansion. That crane collapsed to the north into that project, into a small alcove, if you will, into that project. But as it came down, it also hit the garage, which handles maintenance for the Kent County Sheriff's Department. I've been able to confirm with the captain here on the scene that nobody was injured inside the complex, the maintenance complex, but there was a big field, if you will, of debris when this crane came down and smashed into that building. That's what they're concerned about right now. They can't confirm anything as far as injuries, which may have come from that debris flying, or any injuries inside the jail expansion complex, which was under construction. I can tell you there are several ambulances on the scene right now. None of them have moved, and we do not see them loading any patients. That could be a sign of good news that there was nobody injured. That could be a sign of bad news that they're still looking for people. Again, we are trying to get more information on the possibility of injuries. There are a number of units from the Grand Rapids Fire Department here. A number of these units specializing in collapse rescue. They will go in there, obviously. It's a very precarious situation. Anytime you have some sort of collapse like this, moving one part, it can come down like a house of cards. So they have to be very, very careful, very precise at what they're doing. So this could be a long operation. They've been bringing in equipment from all throughout the city to try to get in there and find out if, in fact, they do have anybody injured and what it'll take to get them out if that is the case. And again, we're not sure. It's not clear right now if, in fact, there were any injuries. I see one ambulance leaving the scene right now, but there doesn't appear to be a patient on board that ambulance. I'm also looking at some of the rescue crews right now standing outside the collapse zone. It looks like they're trying to get an idea of what they have to deal with so they can go in there and start working. So this is probably a pretty long operation. Again, this is just happening in the last probably 20 minutes. So the information is really not a lot of information available right now because I'm guessing they don't know a lot of the information.
Joe, that call first came out at around 9 o'clock this morning. Can you tell me, do you have any idea, or can you tell if that crane was under operation at the time or if it was in a stationary position and it just happened to fall on its own?
I do not know that, Brett. I know it's perfectly aligned to the north and south. It fell actually to the south. Driving by here on the way into work, I usually see them working around 8, 9 o'clock, so there's a good chance that they were working. We also see the construction crews on the scene here as well. I just got late word Ken Coulter's on the scene as well. He just talked to the Sheriff's Department. They are evacuating the entire complex. Ken, does that include the jail too? They're evacuating a main building right now. We're not sure if that includes the jail itself. Obviously, that would be quite a task to run to try to get all the inmates out. And from where I'm standing, Brett, it does not look like the jail is directly impacted. The jail is to the west of where the collapse was. Most of what I'm seeing, which would have been affected by this collapse, is the Kent County Sheriff's Administration building. Again, that maintenance garage and the dispatch center. Now, I talked to Captain Kelly when Captain Kevin Kelly from the Sheriff's Department when we first got here. He tells me that dispatch operations are still being worked out. They're making sure all the calls are routed. Keep in mind they have a redundancy system here that they can run these calls through the Grand Rapids Police Department as well. But just how the dispatch center was affected here remains to be seen. But it doesn't look like there was any collapse onto the dispatch center. Just again, that debris field, the wind every which way when the cranes fell. I'm also looking right now at just a little to the west of where the crane fell on that construction project. There are workers up there, appear to be okay. They're standing around, probably looking at the scene, trying to figure out how they're going to to get under this and figure out what exactly is going on, if they have any, again, injuries on this collapse.
Joe, we're looking at some of the live pictures that are coming in right now. We can see an ambulance, obviously, there, as well as other police officers or sheriff's deputies. And looking at some of those buildings that you were talking about, some of those work buildings, if you will, or offices, portable offices. Can you tell us, is that what we're talking about, where the crane fell?
I'm sorry, say that again, Brett, because I apologize. There's a lot of noise around, ambient noise around here with all the equipment.
No, I certainly understand, Joe. You're saying that the crane fell on some of these mobile offices or mobile buildings.
No, it's actually their maintenance facility. This is where they bring the sheriff's department vehicles in to maintain them. Some of them are parked under there. That it kind of fell at the back of that. It was... and it's hard to tell from where I'm at. Again, I'm on the north side of the building. I'm looking directly at it. That maintenance building is between myself and where that crane has landed. But again, I can confirm for you through the sheriff's department that nobody in that maintenance building was injured. Again, the concern is the buildings around it and all that debris, if anybody was anywhere near that debris, because they're connecting all these buildings with this expansion project. So that's where their big concern is. I just looked up, they have a very large, actually is an old beer delivery truck. If you can just, in your mind's eye, can tell the large beverage-style truck the fire department actually uses. They bring that in for these heavy rescue collapse situations. It's loaded with shoring material, lumber, heavy-duty jacks, that sort of thing. And they will no doubt be using that once they figure out how bad the situation is there. They'll go in with all that equipment and carefully start picking away the debris and lifting any heavy equipment they have to, or heavy debris they have to, with that equipment, so they can get under there and do a final search.
Joe, as you're looking at this situation here unfold, can you give us an idea of what kind of response we're seeing here? How many officers, how many other individuals here? We're looking at one of the emergency response vehicles from the sheriff's department too right now.
Yeah, a very huge response. I've watched, obviously, the fire department's here, all the technical rescue people with the fire department that have expertise in that. Even some of them, I believe, are off duty possibly coming in, because I see some guys gearing up out of their own personal vehicles. They are all coming in. Sheriff's Department command staff, I've counted several members of the command staff coming back here to the Sheriff's Department. You've seen these large mobile units. They look like a big RV, but they're actually a command unit for the Sheriff's Department. That is usually kept in that garage where the collapse was. That is out here in the parking lot right now, and we believe they're operating out of that. Because, again, there's anytime you have a collapse like this, you shift things on a building when it hits. There's also, obviously, the potential for weakening a structure, and that may cause further collapse. So that is why we believe they're starting to evacuate the main building of the Sheriff's Department. And I want to reemphasize, we don't believe that includes the jail. The jail looks like it's safe. The jail is off to the west of where this all happened. We don't see any activity as far as the inmate area there. We believe that that's okay. I think we're talking, and we're going to confirm this, we believe we're talking about the jail administration area, which is off to the east of where this collapse was, to the east of where that new building's going up. That is where they told everybody to get out until they figure out what's going to happen here and just how bad of a situation they have.
All right, Joe, I want you to hang on there for a second, because we're going to go upstairs real fast to Matt Kirkwood, who's standing by in the tracking center right now. In a lot of cases, when these cranes do collapse, it's due to some kind of weather condition, whether there was ice building up on them and it became too heavy for the crane, or there were windy conditions. We don't necessarily think that either one of those were the case here, but we want to check in with Matt right now to see what he's thinking. What are you seeing in the weather, Matt?
Well, anytime when you have a massive piece of construction equipment such as that, Brett, I remember driving past it yesterday, and a lot of times people driving down Ford Freeway probably notice that crane that jets up well up into the sky, probably, you know, a 100-foot crane at least, and that makes it very susceptible to the wind. On an average year, 77 people die from crane incidents, just looking up that information. There was a classic one that happened back in 1999, just on the other side of the lake, when they were building Miller Stadium, and during high winds and a very they were trying to lift up a very heavy object on the roof of Miller Stadium, and the crane collapsed, resulting in 3 fatalities. Now, my personal opinion, I don't think it was a wind today because we haven't had any significant reports of wind gusts out there. We've had right now a south wind at about 10 miles an hour out of the Grand Rapids area. I would certainly think a crane could manage a wind just 10 miles an hour. And just looking in around the area, this is essentially we're looking at winds generally between the 10 to 15 mile per hour range. So it's my educated guess that it wasn't wind that caused this collapse. The winds will be going up this afternoon, and for those workers out there, they're going to have to contend with increasing amounts of, at least a higher intensity snowfall throughout the day. So hopefully it's the situation, there aren't any fatalities or injuries out there, but I really, my personal opinion, I don't think it was caused by the wind. Brett?
All right, thank you so much, Matt. Let's go back to Joe here real fast. Joe, you were probably listening in there. If you weren't, let me just reprise what Matt was saying. He says that the winds aren't all that strong. He doesn't really think that weather may have been a factor here that may have caused this crane to collapse. Do you have any thoughts on your own?
You know, kind of the same thing Matt's saying. You know, as we were standing here, I kind of looked to see if there's any particular wind we got here, and there isn't. Seems to be blowing out of the southwest, but nothing that I can tell that it would cause that. You know, we've had some melting last few days, so I don't know that ice would be a problem either. So I can't really add that much to that.
No, that's fine, but if you can kind of go over what you're seeing again here. Obviously, there are all sorts of response going on from fire department to ambulance to sheriff's department and police department as well. And it doesn't, though, appear right now that people are racing around too much. It doesn't appear that there's anybody that's been necessarily hurt that we know of. Do you have any new information to share there?
Brett, you know, in a situation like this, you're not going to see a lot of manic rushing around. Again, these collapse situations can be really precarious. There's been so many times when, say, a construction accident, people rush in to try to help, but it can make the situation worse because you've got a very unstable situation. You really need to bring engineers and experts in to take a step back, take a look at what's going on, and then go from there. Even if you think you have injuries inside, you're not going to do the injured any good if you cause another collapse. So they are moving, I would say, at a fast rate, but a very cautious rate. So that's what you're seeing.
Obviously, very prudent response then, Joe. I mean, as far as people are concerned and how they should respond here, we certainly appreciate the training that they've had here. Any thoughts, though, as far as the weather's concerned, on any kind of response that's happening right now? Weather may not have played a role in causing this to happen, but is it possibly playing a role in making the response more difficult?
I'm sorry, Brady, you said the weather?
Yeah, just talking about the weather here, is there any chance that the weather now is causing any kind of issues with a response here in dealing with this crane collapse here? It may not have caused it.
I'm only taking an observer's guess at this, if you will, Brett, but I would say the minute this thing happened, they got everybody that was available on this thing, and they're here now. This was a very, very quick response. I think from the time we heard it go on the scanners, we were out the door in the newsroom probably within 2 or 3 minutes, and most of the crews they needed were on the scene. They were that quick with it. So I don't know that the weather hampered that response. It's really not all that bad. The snow has started to pick up in the last few minutes, but the drive over here wasn't all that bad. If you see the jail coming down the expressway especially, you notice it has that circular section to it, and then to the east there's another section. They're adding on to just that portion there. And Brett, can I let you go for just a second? Can you stand by?
Yeah, of course. Do what you got to do. Continue to gather all the information that you possibly can on this. We obviously know it's a fluid situation for you, Joe. You got a lot to do, so go ahead and continue on gathering information for us. We'll check back in with you shortly here. But we're continuing to look at live pictures that are coming in here from our crew on scene. You can see a lot of response there from firemen to ambulances, as well as police officers and sheriff's deputies here. And just to reprise what's been happening here, around 9 o'clock this morning, about 40 minutes ago, there was a crane that collapsed at the Sheriff's Department, at the Kent County jailhouse, or nearby it anyway. And as Joe was just talking about, there's some renovations that are going on there at the Kent County Jail. This crane was being used to do that, or to help out in some fashion. We're not exactly certain what it was being used for, but it was there for crane duty, essentially. And that crane has collapsed. Still not clear exactly how it collapsed, but it fell down on a storage facility there, a garage that's right next to the Kent County Jail. And if you've ever been to that facility, you know it's near it. It's not right next to it. It's also the facility where they do a lot of maintenance on their vehicles and anything else that's necessary to help the jail continue to operate under full operation levels. I'm just being told here that we are getting some reports now from our Facebook page here of some people on scene there that say that all construction individuals are accounted for. There are no injuries involved here, but this is obviously a very dangerous situation. A number of people involved here. Also being told now that I guess there was one worker who did receive some minor injuries in this incident here. We don't know exactly how extensive those are, but generally when you talk about minor, that would not be life-threatening. So we'll continue to try to learn more about the situation from there, but we're being apprised of what's going on there in multiple fashions, on air and online, from our Facebook page, and tips that we're receiving there to stuff that's coming in on the phones that we are gathering from our live desk down here from our crews, and we have multiple crews on scene right now who are continuing to gather information for us out there. And we're watching this whole thing unfold from our weather department as they're continuing to monitor how things are looking there. But once again, just to go over what has happened here, we have a crane that has collapsed near the Kent County Jail. It's fallen on a maintenance building. All the construction crews that was out there at the time, they have all been accounted for. There is one person that we know of right now that has minor injuries. No idea exactly how extensive those are, but it would indicate to us that that person is going to be fine, will be okay. We, of course, will continue to look deeper into that to find out more information that we can as it goes along here. Getting something handed to me right now, a general contractor in charge of the jail project. Their office has no information yet. That's according to Owen James Kimball. And Northwest Kent Mechanical is a main subcontractor. All their employees, as I was just telling you, are accounted for. The foreman called their office and said a crane fell, and all their people are okay. They had about 15 people who are working on the project at the time. So the new information here is about 15 people that were potentially in danger there when that crane did collapse. All of them, minus one who had minor injuries, are accounted for and are okay. We, of course, will continue to monitor this situation as we look at more live pictures out there from the Kent County Jail, but it looks like this one will be okay. We, of course, will keep on top of it and bring you any updates as necessary.